Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to Locker Room Sports Big Talk Tuesday. Glad you can make us a part of your day today. What a beautiful fall day we're having today. Just a little on the warm side, but it's going to cool off here more in the probably about next week or so. Hope everybody is having a great day today. Let's get right into it. We're going to be talking about Alabama with a big road trip going to Missouri. What can we expect to see from Missouri? Does this team, do they have a shot can they upset the Tide? At Auburn, we're a little Voo Doo spooky October magic kind of host the Georgia Bulldogs, and last time they were there, Georgia slipped away with one in a close game with Brock Bowers just kind of taking the game over and getting a win for Kirby. Different team this year for both. So, let's start off. We'll jump right in with Missouri. I really feel like, what's going on, Jeff? Good to see you on here. Yes, 2 short leashes this weekend for Penn State, Coach Franklin, and maybe Coach Freeze. I don't know. I don't think they're going to fire a guy in the middle of the season, but let's talk about the 1,200-yard passer, Prabula. Penn State transfer comes on over to play for Coach Drinkwitz. Missouri has a lot of transfers. They also have one of their linebackers. I think he's done a really good job for them this year in tackling. I think he's got – let's see, already 14 tackles, Trotter, on the season. And also they had a transfer come in from South Alabama, I think he's number 4. Also done a good job for them. Jackson kid. I'm just going to start with the Missouri defense. Third down conversion percentage defense, Missouri is 3 in 5 games. Opponents' third down conversions is 13, where we'll say, let's take Auburn's, for example. Defense is not terrible. They're 12. They're giving up somewhere around, looks like about 0.26% of the time. Opponents' third down attempts against Auburn, 71. They converted 19. Missouri has had 60 third down attempts against them. They've only given up 13. That's pretty good numbers. So let's start there. Defensively, I think Missouri has a lot of question marks at the D-back positions. It seemed like that's just kind of it's been a common theme to me for a lot of schools, DBs. Both these teams are differently on one side of the scale to the other. Talking about Alabama and Missouri first. Alabama's top. I heard somebody say they were top 2, and their back 4 is probably some of the best D-backs in the country. And considering that they've played ranked opponents and taking care of business and getting on the road and going to Athens, I can see that. Also against supposedly a very great offense in Vanderbilt, which they're just a run-heavy team that's played nobody and probably has got to throw the ball around. And when Bama forced him to try to throw the ball, he couldn't get the job done. They couldn't score. So they just load the box and play defense and dare him to throw the ball. So does Bama play Missouri the same way? Now, we talked about Missouri's defense a little bit. I think they're a little sketchy on the backside. Not bad up front at all. I mean, they're ranked. They're ranked up pretty high defensively on their front 7. So it's going to be important to controlling the clock because Missouri is also – they're one of the top teams of taking control of third downs and getting to third downs. Like Alabama, they're similar in that way to where them keeping the ball and where they're at on the field, they can really make this a long game. How Bama did with Georgia, they've been doing that to a lot of people. So how does Bama's defense stack up? Are they, is Missouri going to bid again to these third downs, or can Bama stop them on these third downs? Because they have a little secret weapon, leading rusher in the SEC. I say, I don't know, man. It's Hardy. Maybe he's one of the leading rushers in the country. This is a big, strong, thick guy. I'll give you some size over here. 730 yards already for the year. He's 5'10", 215. That's that size. Okay. He's that size that has that. I always like to use the term Mark Ingram. He comes from La Monroe. I've talked about him for a couple of weeks. And Coach Vincent, what a good job he did at La Monroe. And then winning, school record setting wins and coach of the year last year. And I watched him play Alabama, and it would be great for them to have those guys and a DB that they also lost in the transfer portal too. So, good players out there for them. So, again, how can the Bama defense, are they just going to load up and try to play Hardy, literally and figuratively? Are they just going to load up and play him and, figure out we're just going to stop the run game and let him try to throw as he will? He's also thrown for a lot of yards, and so had Pavia. So, and I don't want to compare – I don't want to compare those two because that's not fair to Prabula. He's thrown for, like I said, over 1,200 yards. I think he's a good quarterback, and I think he can get out there and run and probably cause some damage. He's the typical 6'2", 210, 215-pound quarterback, 9 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 78.2 QBR says that he can get it done. Right now, versus conference teams, he's a little under 60%. But here's what you got to start somewhere. So if you're going to pick games, and we're going to talk about Auburn and Georgia in a minute, if you're going to pick games, we got to look at, who they've played. Because, there's no other way to base any of this on. Just base it on just nothing. So you got to base it on something. So let's base it on who they've played first. We've talked about Missouri's defense and where they are. I don't think I shouldn't say it's nothing worth writing home, but I just told you where they were ranked at, total defense. They're like 5th. Okay. And they're also like top 2 or 3 for, stopping teams on third down. But who have they done that to? So let's look at the schedule. Central Arkansas, Prabula, throw for 283. Hardy rush for 100. They played Kansas, won by 11. Prabula throw for 334. The Roberts kid rushed for 143. Coleman Jr., 126 catches. Played Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. Not a team. 2 years ago, they had a pretty good team. This is not their year at all. Prabula again throws for only 175 that day, but Hardy runs for 250. But he, you would assume he could run for 200 on these guys. They played in South Carolina, won 29-20, where I watched some of that game. In South Carolina, they just went dead, and they couldn't finish the game. They're just not having a good season. Their defense is just absolutely just letting stuff pour out all over the place. South Carolina took the L against Missouri. Prabula 171. Hardy rushed for 138 on them. And then, of course, they played Massachusetts the week before. And, of course, they won that game. Prabula throws for 240. So I'm looking at who they've played. Guys, they ain't played a ranked team. They hadn't played a top 50 rated defense. So let's be careful when we're judging here to say how good Perbula is. And I don't want to knock no shade on Hardy. I think he's a good tailback. He looks the part. He fits the part. Everybody's talking about him. But it kind of reminds me of when we went back earlier in the year when Auburn was playing this, Cupcake Alley down there. They were really piled up, beating their chest that, they had this running game. But I was saying, well, who they played? And then when they played somebody, it was negative yards after the half or, 40, 50 yards after the half. And I'm using that in reference because who you're playing matters. Who you're playing matters. Now, you would say, well, Matt, Georgia run for 200 yards. Well, is this Hardy kid, obviously he got mixed around the shuffle. Is he good the Bowens kid at Georgia? I don't know. We're going to find out Saturday. Georgia found a way to move the ball on the ends, didn't have a ton of success up the middle, but they found out how to stretch the field because that's what Bobo kind of likes to do. The Georgia fans don't really care for them, for that style of football. So how does Hardy, and we're trying to think of him if he was at Georgia, would he have run for 200 yards? Is Georgia's offensive line better than Missouri's offensive line? See, these are things you got to think about when you're trying to pick a game and figure out, what's going on. There's a lot of aspects to this. And it is about matchups. Teams just match up differently. So, trying to do that player souffle and play categories with these guys and try to replace this player with that one and think how this works. Those are all part of the process of how I pick games, and I don't usually miss games. Sometimes the crazy ones like UCLA beating Penn State or something, but other than that, I usually do pretty good at it. Now, Alabama's offense. We talked about Missouri's offense, their running guys, and how they like to score and how they can move the ball and that type of stuff. And we talked about Missouri's defense to open up. So we're just laying out a thing here to give everybody some information to what you're thinking. And I'm just telling you what I'm thinking. It's locker room sports. We're just dudes sitting around in the locker room talking football. Ty Simpson knocking at 1,500. Miller's over, 182 on the year, not a lot. He's about at least 400 behind where I think he should be. I'm not a big fan of Jam. I ain't seen nothing spectacular. He don't want to score. I just by how he plays, he just don't seem like he wants to score. Now throwing the ball, Bernard's, like 390, and I think Ryan is right behind him, like 350 or 360. Hubbard's even got 2 picks on the year. So, that's defense. We're talking tied offense. So offensively, he's thrown 1 pick. He's over 70% completion percentage, blah, 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 all that stuff. Yeah, Matt, we don't really care. I think Riley could be some difference against a front that's going to try to stack the box up. They're going to try to, on short distances, they're going to try to keep Bama from running the ball. They know that Bama's going to want to try to run the ball. Because what does running the ball do, man? I mean, we've seen teams run a lot of yards and lose games. Well, because they just hit them on about 4 or 5 plays, so it looks like a lot of yards. But unless you really watch the game, you find out it was a couple of like 4 big run plays for like 40-yard run. Somebody missed their tackle or somebody's in the wrong key and missed it, and a guy breaks up the sideline for 40. Or you catch a tight end coming in motion, they pitch in the ball, and somebody gets blocked. One guy makes a good block, and he's gone for 30. Well, you got 3 plays for 30. That's nearly 100 yards. So what I'm saying is, how's Missouri going to try to play this short game defense? Because Bama's going to try to push it to a third on third down situations. When they get in those situations, 3rd and 3, they're going to want to run the ball. Is Missouri going to try to load it up and play 8 in the box? They'll probably have to play 7. Bama may play doubles, on the high side of the field and play a, single receiver at the short side. And we've seen Bama play short side of the field We've seen them stack receivers. Sometimes bring a guy in motion like Bernard, pitch him the ball. So how's the Bama offense, going to look? I think they'll have a good day. I don't see there's no reason at all they shouldn't. Jam and Riley should equally share for nearly 200 yards rushing. I'm not sold completely on their front 4. I think their linebackers are pretty good. I mentioned them too to open the show. But their corners are going to be the weak spot. And it's going to give Ty windows to throw the ball because I don't think many DBs in the country can cover. Ty's throwing it to 5 different guys on average. 4. He threw it to like 5 or 6 guys last week. I mean, even Jam, they're catching them out of the backfield too. So all that hula bala, kind of boils down to, to one thing. It's an early kickoff. It's an early kick. And Bama's, only favored by 3 in this game. And I'm just, kind of curious how that's going to work out. What's going to be what's the shakeup? What's the thing that Missouri needs to happen, for it to go their way? Oh, it's 2.5 now. 2.5. It's dropped again. Bama shows to be favored by 63%. I can probably agree with that. We know what happened last year. It was not a good sight last year. Quarterbacks, kind of the same. Ty's throwed for 13 touchdowns and 1 pick, so they just ain't played nobody. Missouri's Saturday is hitting their schedule. Their season really begins on Saturday. Hardy, too. I think he's a good back, but we're fixing to find out if Hardy is fake news or if it's the real deal. So anybody got any score picks, I'll be glad to take them. What's going on there? Zachariah and the other Zach. I feel like with the way Bama should be able to control the ball and how their offense has played so far, I don't see any reason they couldn't get to 30. I just believe that. And it's still out there to find out. I mean, it's kind of like trying to tell a story and you don't even know the character, so I'm just trying to make it up as I go along. Well, that's really what we're finding out with Missouri. We just don't know. Zach's got 37-17. He don't like Missouri's offense too much. It could go that way. If he's seeing in fake news, then it could very easily. It could be that way. But if he's really that good, you think, well, how do you get him? I've seen players get missed and go to small schools and then bump up and do fine. We've seen Fluff play against, good opponents. I think he's hurt too. Somebody look that up for me. Fluff Bothwell injury. I heard that he got hurt Saturday from somebody that's kind of close to them. I'd like to know. I really hope that's not true. I hope he's going to be okay. He's really fun to watch at Mississippi State. I'm trying to think score. I think Missouri could probably score a little more, maybe a 30. Maybe a 36-24. I'm giving Missouri a little credit here, okay? I'm going out on a little bit of a limb and thinking this Beulah guy is pretty good. But, I mean, he did leave Penn State, and I remember him specifically saying when he hit the portal, because people kind of question about it. People are kind of sick of seeing people transfer. Now there's only one window now. So you fix see college football, some teams be able to hold on to guys. They're not going to be able to just jump and leave in the spring. That's over. You can only leave after the bowl games now. So I'm kind of curious to see how this, kind of plays out with Hardy. I think here's the keys, and we'll move to Auburn, and we got 20 minutes, about what we wanted. Is Hardy really the deal? Did he just get missed and prospects of other bigger schools missing him? And that does happen. Him coming out of high school, man, he looks the part. Guys, have you seen him play? I watched him play South Carolina. He can run the football. His vision's good. He's got that lean to him. He can make people miss tackles. He's one of the leaders in the country of yards after tackle. But again, you have to go back and say, who have they played? I mean, against Kansas, Charleston Southern, or Arkansas Central State Technical College? I don't know. I don't know. And I love pulling for the underdog running backs, but not Saturday. And I think, and you're saying, well, man, gosh, Vegas, you just told us it was 2.5. That means they think it's going to be a close game. And I think that is because, one, the board hasn't, I don't know why yet, that road loss at Florida State and last year at Oklahoma still looms in the heads of these bettors. It still looms in the heads of these bettors. Let's see. I guess it's like overall, DeBoer's already he's top coach in the country of beating top 25 AP poll ranked teams. But on the road, it seems like he has trouble getting the guys ready. And if there's any game of that other key that I said, Hardy, is he real deal or is he fake news? And two, the other point of why I think Vegas is holding those points down, it's an early kick on the road. After – I guess you could say an emotional. It wasn't to me, really. I mean, they're just the next game on the schedule. And I really think, from what I hear from the guys talking and watching interviews, Bama feels like it's us against the world. And it's just, next team up, from somebody that was in the locker room at Athens. They're loading their pads and stuff on the bus. Stuff is getting loaded on the bus, and players are getting changed, did some interviews, and on their way out, this person heard the players at Bama talking about Vanderbilt. They were already over the Georgia win and ready to move on to next week. That Saban effect is still looming around there. You play faceless opponents. We won this game. It's time to move on. They're not even celebrating 24 hours. They were ready. So I hope that carried over, because an 11 o'clock kick game away, they're going to go stay in the hotel the night before. And we know what we heard at Florida State. The board debunked that. I think yesterday on Bussin' with the Boys, he said that those allegations of the guys getting DoorDash and stuff was not true. They had people – there's people look into that. And there's people that they're there just to keep eye on the kids to kind of hinder them from doing that. So I think Bama's got enough offense, and I'm just not sold yet on Missouri. I think Drink's done a good job. I opened the show talking about their defense and the guys they've got in from the portal. They got that kid from Jackson that played with Dion, and he's been around. And Hardy come from La Monroe. The other kid had been to South Alabama. He's just been like 4 places. He's a good player. And some of their linemen they've picked up in the portal, and they've been good. They've graded out well. So hats off to Drink for doing a good job in the portal, finding the right guys. But I think the real test time comes Saturday. No more fake tests where you get the easy test and you get two of the wrong answers marked off. I think it's test time, and we're going to see who's going to talk it, because I'm just not sure if Missouri DBs can slow down all the receiving core, and including tight ends at Alabama. I just don't know. I mean, their schedule just hadn't thrilled me to that high expectation yet. And I don't want to harp on this anymore, but it is kind of important to say that that early kicks, man, it's just not. It's usually not in the favor of the traveling team. Knowing that they got Tennessee the next week, that's very concerning to me. And I've said it 5 times now, so I think y'all get it. That could be the thing. Can they get focused, get on the bus Friday, go down, Thursday, and go down Friday, stay at the motel, do their walkthroughs, do study, and really get locked in. Is this team really brothers, arm in arm, ready to go try to win a chip? We're going to find out Saturday. By 12:30, I think you'll have a good idea of what's going to go on. I think you'll have a really good idea of what's going on. And it's on ABC. God, I hate it being on ABC. They have so many freaking commercials, man. Golly, too many commercials for me on ABC. You usually get like Greg McElroy. It's just not. I don't like him calling games. I'm just not a Greg Mac fan of him playing it, man. I appreciate his time and what he did there, but other than that, not a fan. So that's kind of that. I think Bama wins, and they do cover. Big test for Missouri. Big test as well as Bama. So Georgia and Auburn. Let's kind of break into that right here. But before we do that, make sure you hit the thumbs up while you're over there. I mean, it's just real easy. You're looking at your phone right now, and you just see it on here, and you see the little blue thumb over there, and you just hit it, a couple of times right there. That's all you got to do. It's not hard. Really appreciate help drive the video. YouTube guys, people over there, subscribe to the channel. We'd appreciate all the love that we can get. Now, continue on. Big Talk Tuesday. Thank you guys for stopping by here again. Coach Freeze, Kirby Smart, opposite ends of the spectrum right now. But really, are they? Are they really? And I'm not saying that Kirby's job is on the line at all. I'm not saying that at all. But 3.5 points right now. This is all Georgia's favored by. Why? Why? Guys, I mean, why would it be so low? We've seen Georgia play. I've seen them play two of their games. Fully watched, a lot of the Kentucky game. Didn't care much about for their earlier the game, Marshall and I don't know, Ingles meat department up there played Scotty and them. We just weren't very interested in that. So why is it so close? Because Auburn's offense is just absolutely terrible. They can't get anything done. So where's Vegas at? What do they know we don't know? Well, here's what I'm thinking. Georgia is favored by 64% to win the game. They are favored by the points. Gunnar Stockton stoked for over 1,000. The Bowens kids run for over 300. Cobb's rush for over 400. Leading rusher SEC is, I just told you, 700 yards. Hardy's hitting like 7 yards a click, averaging like 6.5 a run. I'm going to find out. So, how does the Georgia defense look? Why is this spread so close? Because obviously you would think that Georgia defense would usually be good enough to come out here and just take a team down, But we also know that college football is a lot different now, and I don't think it's fair for other media people to come out here and say, you can't talk about Georgia without talking about the defense, or that's not the Alabama team I know. People have to stop saying that. It's not there. Jonathan Allen, just making him for an example. I don't even know. Find me a guy in the nation really that's like him when he played at Bama. The guy was diving over offensive linemen, sacking the quarterback. Who does that anymore? They're just not there. So we got to stop doing that. So Auburn just needs enough offense, because I don't want to do it to the – I heard some people trying to do the 2 years ago when Bowers beat them, down there at Auburn, whatever. But he's not there. Auburn's not that same – there ain't nobody – it's not a lot of the same guys there at either team. Auburn's had a lot of guys hit the portal and leave. Georgia had a lot of guys graduate. Auburn's had guys graduate. So where can we find some common ground that they're just maybe not going to be as good as we expect them to be? And I think we've put Georgia on a unachievable goal timeline that just Saban retires. Okay, Kirby's king. He's king of college football. Wait a minute, what? Man, they've won back-to-back. He's Saban's disciple. They gonna get after it again. Well, the thing is, they recruit guys, but are they being coached up? Real well. I like their linebacker play at Georgia. Like I said, I've watched them play closely 2 games. Allen, they're good. I like their KJ and them playing over the top back there. I think he's an All-American style football player. And you just have to go by what you've seen other teams, deplete them in their secondary part. Again, the secondaries, nobody's really that good. Bama has a lot of high praises. You start going like total defenses and those back, safeties and strong safety stuff. And Hubbard has since the Florida State game has played an awesome game. So, like SEC leaders in picks are, you got to go way down the list, like 12. LSU's 12 on picks. South Carolina's like 19. Kentucky's 19. All these teams are tied for 6 interceptions a game. Alabama's got 5. And most all of them don't have them in touchdowns. SC does. Talking about spoiled children. Can Georgia slow Auburn's offense down? Has the off week been good to Auburn? Has Freeze figured out things? Has he brought some special guy in to reevaluate the offense and see where they're at, things they're missing? He said the other day on some meeting that their left tackle, Xavier guy or whatever, he can't hear good. He's got hearing problems. What? He's a senior. Did he not have hearing problems at Virginia Tech? Like their stadium's not loud? For God's sake, they play Inner Sandman. It's it's wild. They have a wild stadium when they're playing home games. It's not that, and he's making excuses for players. And when you do that, that seems like you're reaching so hard, and you're trying to cope and make excuses for why he's just bad. It's just discipline problems, and you got an offensive line coach problem. Doing film study on Auburn, two good times for them, especially A&M and Oklahoma, and one of their other games, maybe South Alabama. Watch some of their line blocking there. They don't slide protect well. I don't know if Arnold can't adjust them to where they need to slide, or he's telling them wrong. I don't know, because I don't know the protection or how he does it. Something's wrong. Georgia's got to be able to take advantage of that. Jackson either holds the ball too long with people open. He's still not through a pick because he won't throw the ball. I think Georgia's linebackers are going to cause him a lot of trouble. you're talking about, somebody throwing a bunch of different crap at you and the kitchen sink coming along with it too. If you don't think Kirby Smart's got it all figured out or what the plan's going to be, it's going to be very difficult for Jackson to process this stuff. But I got one key thing that could change this whole game coming up right here at the end of this. And it seems kind of silly, but it's kind of just true. So now we're talking about Georgia's defense and how can they slow Auburn down. I mean, they're not burning the woods up or nothing. We all know that. But this is not a film study to break Auburn offensive line, offense down. We just have to mention it. Now let's flip it around. This is where my opening remark about Freeze and Smart band may be a little closer than you think on some things. Auburn's defense is not that bad. They've played pretty good. Let me make sure before I quote wrong. There's some sensitive fans out there. I think they were like 15 or something. And just in total, I want to quote it right before I say something. They are total defense. I thought they were top 15. Their rush defense that's what I got it. Their defense total is 38. Okay. And Georgia's defense is, so I'm telling you guys, this is where the marks move a little closer together. Georgia's 33. I didn't even know that, but that was my point with the coaches of how things are kind of going. And in 5 games, Georgia's give up 1,500 yards. Let's say. And Auburn's give up, dude, it's literally 12 yards difference. 12 yards difference. Georgia's give up 11 offensive touchdowns, and Auburn's only give up 8 offensive touchdowns. But the reason they're a little bit lower is because they give up a few more yards and yards per play. Auburn's give up 5 yards a play. Georgia's give up 4.9. It's just so close. I mean, we're talking small details. Do you see where I'm going with this? That's where I meant closer. I didn't mean closer like Kirby's getting fired. I mean, what Kirby's known for is defense. Lane's known for offense. He ain't getting it done. Kirby's known for defense, and that's not getting it done. Not for their standard. For Georgia, you can ask, you get Birds on here, and he'll tell you, I expect Georgia to always be top 5. It's just how it is, and they're just not. Who's the top 5 defensive teams in the nation right now? Oklahoma, Missouri, Ohio State, James Madison, and Indiana. Now, you're going to say, well, Matt, none of those teams have played anybody. Nobody with any kind of offense. Okay, I can agree. But I'm just telling you what the facts are. Texas, 13th ranked defense. Miami, 16. Alabama, 20. A&M, 21. LSU, 23. Florida, 24. Florida State, 27. Just giving you some things to think about here. Memphis, 32nd ranked. Memphis's defense is ranked better than Georgia's right now. What up? There's no way anybody could have said, I'll give you $1,000 if you tell me who's ranked right above Georgia preseason. I said, well, I probably think Ohio State because Georgia's probably 5 or 6. Nope. They're 33. Memphis is 32. So now that Auburn defense, I just give you the numbers. I think they have a good shot. Bama's the best defense Georgia's seen so far, no doubt. I just told you where they're at. Third down stuff, run defense at Bama's not been world trending. So let's see, like run defense for Auburn. I think they're like top 10. Rushing defense. Let's just get the accurate numbers. Missouri's number 1. Bama's got a tall task there. You guys, if you are just going to think Bama's going there and smoke show it, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a smoke show. But Missouri's played, Central Nella and Kansas, and Let's see. Texas 11 rush defense. Georgia's 13 in rush defense. Auburn is 17. So what's the difference? Where's the big gap between 13 and 17? The gap is opponents have rushed for 440 rush yards. Auburn and Georgia 410 per 3 rushing touchdowns and 2 opponents rushing touchdowns for Auburn. The percentages for yards per game, Auburn's giving up about 88, Georgia's giving up about 82. So it's close. I think these defenses are fairly close. So here's kind of another way I do it too. That's what I did with Missouri and Alabama in my head. You get quarterback play, check Bama, linebacker play, go defense, check Bama, running back play, check Missouri. Like, the guy Flowers, man, I know he ain't running against nobody. He's way ahead. I mean, like, way ahead of everybody. I mean, the next guy's only got like 500 or something. It's some guy from wherever. So you start doing the old checkbox, check-a-rooney there. Tucker, what's up? Start doing the old checkbox for Auburn and Georgia. The defenses are kind of similar. We just looked at the stats, the factual facts, and I don't go by that a lot. That just gives you a base. You got to watch them play and kind of understand what's going on, how they read, fit, how their blocking assignments are on defense, what kind of exotic looks are you going to get, what kind of twist and keys. Georgia's going to be a little more exotic on defense. You're probably going to see more stunts and linebacker twist and that kind of stuff than probably we'll see at Auburn. This may be a low-scoring game. I think the defenses are very similar. I'm going to go check defense for Auburn because it's at home. Now, this is leading up to finish the show up because I'm leading up to my main key point to finish this pick. Quarterback play, we don't have to ask. I mean, you don't. Everybody in the SEC quarterback-wise is – I mean, anybody. Everybody's better than Jackson. They just are. They just totally anemic to run the offense. Freeze seems to have missed again of finding a quarterback to run his offense. That's on him. He's 100% responsible for that. So let's go running back checks. It's Georgia for sure. I've seen him play, and I love Jeremiah Cobb. I watched him play in high school, covered him, and he's a great young guy, and he's a good back for them. I think he's better getting the ball in motion or in screens or middle screens, throwing in bubbles. I think those things are going to be important for Auburn to be able to move the ball sideline to sideline because up the middle for kind of both teams, it's going to be a tough sled just to run between the 1 or 2. It's going to be more 4s and 5s. And who's going to be a better tackling team? So defensively, I'm going to kind of lean Auburn. I just kind of am. Up front wise, I like Georgia's front 3 better. They're solid core. They're 3 down that stays down on their knuckles all day. Auburn's linebacker core, I like Georgia linebacking core more a little bit. But you know how they roll these guys, on and off the ball. I ain't seen, and I know you have to bring up Falk because everybody talked about him preseason. He had, how many tackles has he got right now? I mean, he's got like a sack, 2 sacks, and not a lot of tackles. I mean, just ain't some tackles were lost a little bit, but they just ain't been. He's got to show up Saturday. Kelvin Frost got to show up. I'm tired of hearing it's going to be next game. It's going to be next game. So you see where the check marks are kind of going. It's kind of even. 3rd down conversions. Auburn is terrible on 3rd down conversions. They were 0 for 13 that game. So next to last point, and we'll get out of here and wrap this up. Yeah. I can't. I don't know what's going on with Fogg. I don't. I'm just sometimes I just chalk it up and say, I guess he's hurt. I ain't seen nothing from him. He's MIA. So here's the thing. The time of possessions, those kind of little things, and can Auburn bend enough on defense and not break? Yeah. And the thing is, the next to last, not the main hit home point is, and they coincide with each other. They don't. It's oil and water. This one side is this. Auburn just hadn't figured out a way to win games. They're just not winners. When things get tight late in games, this group, for some reason, I think I'm pretty good at what I do. I don't know. I'm not trying to brag, but I've been doing this a long time, and I'm just not stupid either. I can see what's going on. I think there's a huge problem in coaching communication. I think that a lot of it has to do with Freeze's communication with the quarterback, him not being offensive meetings. I went through that 2 weeks ago. People said, whatever, and then it come out 2 or 3 days later that I was right because they're adjusting it this week. Birds, what's up? Got the Dogs by 10. Zach says 31-17 Georgia over Auburn. The one key, there's two keys, and they're totally opposite each other. Auburn hadn't shown me they know how to win games. They've set a school record for opening the season with more conference losses than any other Auburn team ever. Hugh Freeze has broken another record. And you can see that there's guys there, and some of it's on them. I think coaching's got to be a fault, man. You can't just blame it all on the players. I mean, they're only running the plays that they're given. And lastly, to sum all this up and wrap it up in a nice little bow and pin it, that Voo Doo magic at Auburn at night, there's nothing to you can't explain either facts on both sides of this argument that I've got. I'm trying to put my hands up here on this both sides of the argument that I have. One side is I don't know really why. I think I got a good idea why they can't win. I think it's coaching communication. And then the other side is just it's at Auburn, it's at night, and you just see weird stuff happen. And Georgia just don't have that dude that can just really break away. So is this going to be a coming out party at home for Jackson? Or Gunner's been on the road. Let's see what happened at Tennessee. Played a close game. And I think Tennessee is probably 3 touchdowns better than Auburn. Game planning, adjustments in the game, stubbornness of the coach not to adjust in the game that's going to literally cost Freeze's job from absolutely refusing to adjust in the game. Just absolutely refusing to. So those are two weird things, man. That night stuff there at Auburn, we've all seen it, man. We've seen the tip flipped over his head, and the Auburn guy catches it and he wins. We just Auburn and Georgia games are that just weird stuff can happen. I don't think neither one of them get in the 30. I don't think so. I'm on lean to pick Georgia because I think Gunner's better than Jackson. I don't think it's a large jump in difference of like ability to throw it. I think they probably can throw it about the same. They both kind of running quarterbacks. Jackson needs to be able to be called plays to run the ball more, and Gunner too. I think Georgia plays Bama a lot better game in the second half if they let him run the ball some. Just design runs, just straight up QB draws. I think that, but I just can't. Auburn just can't figure out a way to win. And it's kind of like I'm covering my own bet to say, yeah, but, and I don't like to do that because then that means you're not really making a real pick. I just wouldn't be surprised if Auburn won. If they come out there and win a 28-24. I'm just saying they're up. Georgia's up the whole fourth quarter. From the end of the third quarter, it goes in halftime 21-21. It's tied, or we'll say it's 14. Georgia's up 21-14. Auburn comes out, gets the ball, goes on a drive, keeps the ball out of the third quarter, get a touchdown. They tie it 21-all, and Georgia gets the ball. They go down and score pretty quickly, ending the third quarter, a 28-21. Auburn scores, or maybe Georgia, they hold them down there and they only gets a field goal. So it's 24-21 after tied from later in the third. And we get in the fourth quarter and they're tired. And I think the offenses are probably done about all they can do. And Georgia runs the ball more in that fourth quarter and just kind of takes it over. And maybe they do score again late. And maybe it is a 31 score. But I could just saying, man, I could also see it being a tie game there, like 21-all in the third quarter. And Auburn making Georgia punt, making Georgia kick a field goal, go there and have to kick a 40-yard field goal. Auburn gets the ball back and goes down the field and scores somehow. And then Georgia's on their rip to come back down. And, it's 28-24. Auburn's ahead. And you're thinking, well, here it goes. Auburn can't figure out a way to win. And then, boom, that thing happens. The ball tips off somebody's freaking helmet, and Auburn picks the ball and, runs the clock from 5 minutes down to under the 2-minute warning and has to punt or something, and ball game. You see what I'm saying? That's weird something. Tip off the helmet or something crazy. So I like Georgia to win this. I like them to cover. But if ball bounces off a helmet – or what if Bowens, what if he fumbles the ball, and Auburn picks it up and scoops and scores? They're just those little lucky things like that, man. It happens to them at home. It just does. Look, man, that Alabama team that beat Auburn when, Milroe, the year before, they're a lot better. I mean, talent-wise, it's not even close. They had to score late. Nick's last Iron Bowl, they have to bomb it in the corner of the end zone, and Bond makes that play don't work. 7 or 8 out of 10 times that play don't work. Last year was just Bama just imposed their will on them. They just crushed them. They was tackled. They was hitting harder than Auburn. Auburn just didn't look like they even kind of wanted to be there. They were just kind of getting bullied around. I'm telling you guys, I just wouldn't be surprised. I think Freeze is going to get probably out coaching this. I just keep thinking, well, next week they'll figure it out. Next week Auburn can't find a way to win. They don't have it in their soul to figure out a way to win. But if they do, this will be the week when a ball bounces off somebody's helmet. Auburn picks it late and holds on to the lead somehow, and they win. I just wouldn't be surprised. But I say Georgia wins and covers. I think they run the ball better than Auburn. So appreciate all you girls and guys hanging out with me tonight. And come back Thursday night, and we'll do this for some high school football talk and go over for some senior nights for some teams and more big region wins, man. We got a lot of these region games are really starting to matter now around here. So y'all come back if you want to check in on some of that, and we'll get after it. The bowling ball plus Frazier plus McCray. Georgia's running back room is loaded. Don't forget about Cash Money Jones. Yeah, he didn't. He kind of flubbed for him there, though. Got tripped up. Shoe strength tackle, maybe won the game. So, appreciate you guys. Love y'all so much, man. And come by and hang out with me here on a Big Talk Tuesday. So, we got Bama covering it to win. Early game, though. Be careful, Bama. Y'all better get out there and get your minds right. Got Georgia playing, run the ball well, cover to win. But that bounce off the helmet or weird fumble at the end of the game or something weird, be careful for that too, because that Voo Doo at Jordan Hare is spooky.